for the...
We'll go ahead and start our meeting and welcome everyone to our City Council meeting for Monday, August 22nd. We could have a roll call, Madam Clerk, to establish quorum.
Autumn Slane.
Here.
Terry McClung.
I'm here.
Melissa Green.
Here.
Harry Meyer.
Here.
Nick Roberts.
Here.
Bill Ott.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, if we could stand for the President pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
Liberty and justice for all.
Harry, you dropped your...
papers. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. All right, get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Get a second.
A second.
I hear a second there.
Yes.
I did.
Okay. Mr. McClung, do you want to, before we do the auditorium, you want to go down and do the walkthrough right now, or you want to wait?
I'd love to. I'll go down there if everybody's ready to go.
Oh, no.
Before we get into our businesses, so why don't we go ahead and move that up to a walkthrough before we get into,
Just whenever you want.
before we do the commissions, after the approval of the minutes,
You betcha.
if that's okay. I do have one other item I'd like to put on the agenda, and that's waiving the bids for police cars for the police department. Other than that,
And I would like to add an update for the CAPC.
okay. We'll do that under the commission meeting reports. How's that?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. If there's nothing else, all in favor of the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Opposed? All right, so moved. Let's take a 15-minute break and go down to the basement of the auditorium and look at it and come back up. How's that sound? I don't think we approved the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for August 8th?
So moved.
Get a second?
I'll second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes that's submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right, well, the first thing up is, Ms. Lane, you're going to give us a CAPC report?
Oh, yes. As we were discussing last meeting, my concerns of kind of what's been going on. For one, we don't have a budget right now because we can't come up with quorum. Right now, it's my understanding from Madison that we don't have quorum and people are on vacation, long vacation. There's really been a pretty bad lack of communication when these people will return and who these people are. I know I've went on vacation several times and I Zoom in. So for me, I don't really understand what's going on. But at this point, the CAPC is at a complete stall. We don't have a quorum, don't know when we're going to get a quorum. We have no budget to give us here at the council, so we have no budget to approve. And my concern is our candidates. They are now getting to the point of being frustrated, which is the last copies I gave you guys. 3 of the people have reached out. Most of them were applied back in January, so it's been, a good 8 months since they've turned in their application and, basically not even talked about at the meetings or anything like that. So most recently, we had Mark nominated and Bobby vacated, or he took Bobby's seat, which that was 9 months went vacant. And I'm really just trying to not allow that to happen again. And, like I said, it's just putting a complete stall to us operating, and which in turn affects our tourism, affects our scheduling, and affects our advertising. So today, I would like to make a motion to nominate Heather Wilson to be put on the board, considering that our A&P cannot hold quorum.
Mr. McClung?
2 things. One, council does not approve the CAPC budget. And they provide it to us to peruse, but it's not ours for approval. They're independent of us. And secondly, I don't, as much as I agree with you on those positions need to be filled as quickly as possible, I don't think that we can, without some kind of process, overstep the jurisdiction of the CAPC Commission either. I'm not sure how we can go about doing that, and we sure can't do it just willy-nilly.
You're right.
So we'd need some direction. But I agree. There's no reason to go 6 weeks without a meeting of any sorts, especially as, man, that just doesn't happen. So I don't know what we can do to correct that, but that is something we may have to look at.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Ms. Green?
I think there's 2 more applicants, I was told, too, so there's a whole pile of them.
Okay. Mr. Roberts?
Just a correction, I think you misunderstood just because we don't vote for it here, but we, as members of the CAPC, are not able to vote on the budget, is what she was referring to. I don't mean to correct you, I just wanted
okay.
to be clear.
I thought she was referring to us.
No, we're just not able to approve it on that end.
Well,
It was the financial report that comes to us, it wasn't the budget.
there are 6 people still on the CAPC.
Yeah.
So there's, although it sounds like we've got problems with the vacation and scheduling more than anything else. Mr. Myers?
It's not a budget, it's just the financial report. The budget was passed in January, so it's the financial report for the second quarter, is true. One of you can probably get a copy of it down there at the office from Scott, the finance guy.
It's not approved.
Bring it up and show it to us. It'll be not officially approved, but it will probably be the same thing that it's going to get approved.
Ms. Swain?
Well, if we can't nominate somebody to replace a vacant seat there, since we're not up to quorum and we cannot have meetings, what is your nomination going to be, Mr. Mayor, for that large position?
It's not my position to make the nomination at large.
Oh, it is. It's under the state statute that it is.
No, ma'am, you need to read the state statute. It's still...
I did.
You need to read it again. The second paragraph states that after that position's been filled, and if there's a vacancy, then it's up to the CAPC to nominate for that position.
So what is your goals or decision-making as far as this is going to just continue like this for the rest of the year?
Ms. Lane, I don't really want to get into a debate. You have 6 people still on the CAPC at this point in time.
But nobody's attending the meetings
There's been because of vacation, so I'm sure
that you can zoom into.
I'm sure there's going to be, the meetings will start getting back into attendance. This isn't a discussion. You were going to give a report, and I appreciate your
This is my report.
Thank you very much.
Complete and absolute disregard for the rules of the bylaws.
We are not going, I'm not going to get into a debate, so let's just, you gave a report, and I appreciate that. Mr. Robert?
I want to back you on that at this in the current situation we're in, you would not have a nomination. But if the quorum were to continue to be ignored and it go vacant, we might have to resolve it all together. Then when we're in rebuilding, the mayor would decide the at-large position. Is that?
That is not true. That's still not valid. Let's don't get into expectations what's going to happen. You know, let's just continue on with where we are.
We're just
we'll have a
concerned about
meeting.
it.
The CAPC, I'm sure, will continue on.
Eventually, but we're impatiently waiting.
I'm not, please. Mr. McClung?
I do just have a suggestion, and it's just that to the mayor himself, and that is, you know, maybe some encouragement for the others to, you know, to get cohesive and get things back online. I mean, you know, we're hearing from these two, it is evident the meetings did not happen, and that's really, I don't ever remember not having 3 meetings in a row, ever. But of course, you know, this is post-COVID. I wasn't on during COVID, so I can't speak for that. But you know, there needs to be some encouragement, I think, coming from the mayor's office that the CAPC needs to be.
I would certainly be glad to do that.
I appreciate
that. All right. All right, our next item is under Parks. We do have a vacancy. If anybody's out there interested in the Parks Commission, and that will bring us up to public comments. And please limit your time to 3 minutes.
My name is Linda McBride. I live at 260.
Can you raise the microphone or move it a little bit?
How's this?
Perfect.
Better.
Okay, my name is Linda McBride. I live at 264 Spring Street. I respectfully request that number 2 under old business is removed from your agenda about fire department, public safety, and their budget concerns. This was discussed at your last meeting. If you missed it, you can watch it on YouTube, read it in the newspaper, or get the minutes. It was discussed in depth. There is no reason for this to be on the agenda tonight. Plus, the duties of a city council are to set policies and procedures, period. They are not to be involved in the daily operation of any department in this city. They're not. You get to see their budget, you pass it, and that's what it's about. City council members of any city are not involved in the daily operation of departments. They're just not. So I'm asking you to remove that. It's been discussed, and that's it. It's not a new item. Another thing, as a citizen sitting out here today, we deserve better. Not just me, but every citizen of this town to sit here right before a meeting and watch you pass out packets that these members don't even know what you're getting, that they should have been on an agenda. It's wrong. That is not the way city government works, and we deserve better. And it's embarrassing. I used to dread at parks meetings if somebody from state parks came in and watched our meeting. I feel that same way about sitting here watching packets being spent out. We don't know what that is. How can these members study that to know what you're going to talk about? Why surprise somebody? It's supposed to be government for everyone, and this is just wrong. Again, I respectfully ask that that item agenda number 2 under old business be removed and not discussed. Thank you.
Ferguson Stewart, 7 Harvey Road, Eureka Springs. I wanted to first report that we had a great Carroll County Fair Parade on Saturday, great turnout, and also the fair is going on right now in Carroll County, and so I just want to remind everybody about that. Second off, I want to use an analogy here, which I do sometimes, is a boxing match. When you go to a boxing match, the referees come out and he says, okay, no below blows, no striking of the eyes, things like that. So as we do these elections, as these city elections come about, I ask each of you to keep the civility. I ask each of you to respect your fellow citizen. And I ask that we have a good race and the best man or woman wins. Thank you.
All right, have anyone else from public comments?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Garner Blanchette to Washington. I just want to make a few comments about
Can you raise the microphone a little bit?
sorry.
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I just want to make a few comments about the last meeting. Councillor Roberts really did believe that he was doing the right thing at the CAPC meeting by not allowed to continue with the information he was given when he was appointed to the commission. Both him and Autumn were appointed at the same day to replace Councillor Green and Councillor Meyer. But to come in and wave a state's code in his face, I don't think it was right. The information he had was wrong, apparently wrong. Change it. Put it in the code that's not in, that when your term is done, it's done. Apparently it's not. You can stay there for as long as you want. No matter what it is, put it in there so this doesn't happen again. So no one's publicly shamed for what they believe is true, and suddenly it's not the truth. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years of experience on the council, and this was continued on and on and on. And finally, when he brings it up, he should be voted off the CAPC commission. That's not right. He was also called childish for wanting to call the police, when in fact, CAPC meetings regularly and mostly always have police presence on them. I've witnessed 3 myself this year alone. So I don't know what's happened in 2021, 2019, when everything else was going on. I'm sure people were on the commission that were sitting there when police were actually on the stage. Carol Wright wrote in an email about how sad the appointment was of Councillors Roberts and Slane. That she would delay any vote that they put on. A commissioner, speaking about 2 commissioners appointed by City Council. Mr. McClung, you wondered once why nothing was getting done at CAPC. Well, it's obvious there's a good reason for it. Nobody wanted it to get done. And you mentioned about a coup, Nick starting a coup. I think he didn't start one, I think he just interrupted one. From what I can read in the papers, what I get in the news, something's got to be done to that. Like maybe disband it and start over again. But with 6 commissioners presently on that, they can't get a quorum together. You wonder why. Because there was no good intent working with these 2 councillors. So anyway, thank you for your time.
My God.
We heard that one.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I'd say now everyone's awakened. It'll work. I'm Laura Jo Smoley. I live at 17 Elk Street, number 2. I've got just a couple things I want to bring to your attention. There we go. On the upcoming ordinance for its final reading today, Ordinance 2326, I still urge that the council not approve this ordinance. There's always a problem when an ordinance is written just to address one situation. And if, we have a neighbor with neighbors conflict, and I don't think that it's city council's, I don't think that writing a whole new law just to address one situation is really appropriate. The other has to do with the budget for next year. 3 things I'd love to see happen, actually 4. I'd like to see the aldermen increase their monthly wages. It's been well over 20 years since the aldermen, I forget what they were before, but since they, were receiving $200.
Could you move the microphone over a little bit?
There we go.
Thank you.
And I just think it's fair to the future aldermen, and for the reasons that you enumerated for the mayor and the city clerk, you deserve, starting in January, to have a little more as a monthly stipend. Also, while you're looking at the budget for next year, please consider a full-time building inspector. I'd also like to see a survey occur, maybe in a council planning commission combination, I don't know, but we need to do a survey of sidewalks in the residential 2 areas, and perhaps, I know we can't fix everything at once, but maybe we can find the 5 most egregious lack of sidewalks and fix those next year. And the last one is please budget to allow for more speed bumps. We are desperate on Pivot Rock Road. Something's got to be done. I know I've been up at this microphone talking for a long time. We got to get the speed down. We got to get people driving more carefully. We are going to have a serious accident otherwise. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right, anyone else? I think that concludes our public comments then. Thank you very much. That brings us up to unfinished business. We have Ordinance 2326, camping on private property for the 3rd reading. Motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Ms. Meyer made the motion and Ms. Green second to discuss. Ms. Green?
What Laura Jo brought up is true, but there are more than one place in town that is having problems. But I know planning, I talked to the planning chair, and they are working on, maybe some amendments to this, and that would be possible, correct, Forrest?
Ordinances can be.
Right. Yeah, to the 2326, yes, they're working on some stuff. One of the things that somebody contacted me, and I had a long talk with them, they live just on the outskirts of town, and occasionally they have people that have stayed for 2 or 3 months in a camper, but they are providing water, trash, and sewage, and they're worried that they may not be able to do this. And with the advent, these people actually did work in town. So is this going to hurt that at all.
Did you say they live outside the...
No, they're right on the edge of town, of our city limits.
Move your mic, please.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Helps.
There's a lot of selective law enforcement, and we have to let our police use their discretion.
Sure.
And again, they're not going around looking for problems. But however, if a problem comes forward in the nature of a complaint, and it does fit within the corners of this ordinance, then we have a way to deal with that situation. Again, most people in this town are very reasonable, and there's not a problem. But when there is a problem, we have to have some way to deal with it. This ordinance is an attempt to do so. It can be amended. It can be changed. It can be not passed. It can be revoked. So this just gives us a tool to deal with the situation if there is a problem.
Okay. Well, I'm supportive of this. We're bringing concerns, and they were legitimate concerns. So as long as we can, like I said, planning is working on it, and we can amend it if needed, perfect.
Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and read ordinance number 2326 for a third and final reading by title only.
I'll second that.
Okay, Ms. Lane?
As I've said before, I do not like this ordinance. I feel like we should hold people a little more accountable. As you've even said, selective enforcement needs to stop. We just need to talk to these few people that are going on. And to your concern about the water and electric, I think we should just change it instead of passing it, because there's no guarantee that any of us are going to bring it up again. And I still feel like it's an infringement on privacy from private property. Thank you.
Ms. Green?
I will be bringing up amendments.
Okay.
So it's not going to just die and go away, I promise.
Thank you.
All right, we got a motion and a second to read this by title only. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Oh, wait,
Aye.
we got to do the,
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
No.
Mr. Roberts?
No.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
4-2. Ordinance number 2326, an ordinance to limit camping on private property.
Mr. McClung?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2326, third reading.
I'll second.
Mr. McClung made a motion to approve it on third and final reading. Mr. Meyer seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Is that,
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
No.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mr. Roberts?
No.
4-2.
all right. Thank you all very much. That does bring us up to this second order of business, Fire Department, Public Safety, and Budget Concerns. I also have had difficulties putting this on the agenda, and actually was told that it's going to be on there anyway because Mr. Roberts asked it. We did vote for this. We had discussion. We asked for it to be deferred. Nobody deferred it. So again, as far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't be on here, but it is up to the council. So
I just wanted to pick up where I left off because I was sick.
I need a motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss.
And here's second.
Second.
All right. Mr. Roberts?
I just wanted to pick up from where I left off by going over this because Autumn tried, and I thank her for it, but she didn't have the information that I gathered that I wanted
Now,
to.
you know you're limited to strictly the budget. This has nothing to do with personnel or...
Yeah, I just
matters
wanted everyone
within
to be aware so that way we can kind of hold into account what's going to happen down the line. Because
We are not going to be
I did
discussing...
include the letter.
Mr. Roberts,
I did include the letter of your resolution.
Mr. Roberts, I'm going to call order here.
I'm still talking.
I am calling order. This is not, we're not going to be discussing anything except for the budgets.
You haven't even given me a chance to explain what I'm discussing.
If you have an interest in the budget,
I will
fire department,
discuss that.
let's discuss the budget.
I will also discuss what I provided to the other.
We're not going to be discussing the operations of the fire department. That is a personnel matter, and that is with the administration. That is not the purview of the city council. If you have an interest...
It's our part as the council to hold you accountable and people's accountable. We can't just let things be run wrong, and I want to make sure, and I want to give you credit for actually, after my FOIA request, resolving some of the matters.
We
But you don't want to give me that
have
chance.
resolved those, and I don't need the credit. We've already resolved them. If you have an interest on the budget, that's fine. We'll discuss that.
Well, everyone, I did give you a packet. I didn't give Melissa one because she just specifically did not want any of that information. And I kind of put numbers next to it, some of the letters, so you kind of have an idea, but you'll have that. I give you some pointers and kind of highlights. But as for the second page in here, the
Mr.
Fire
Roberts,
Department payroll,
I don't have a packet. I don't know what you're talking about.
I gave you enforced one. There's one right between your,
Not in my packet.
There's one, yes. Oh, there's fire department stuff. There's this, and here's some other stuff, but it has to do with personnel matters, not budget.
Okay, Mr. Roberts, we're not going to be discussing the complaints on HR.
well, I'm not saying we were. I just wanted everyone to have that information because
We're
it
not going
wasn't
to be
sensitive.
discussing any of that except for, we're not going
Still
to be
not saying
discussing
we
the
are.
certifications. We're not going to be discussing the attendance roll call or the letters.
This was
If
Kim
you want
Stryker's
to
little cover
discuss
letter.
the
I just wanted him to know what's in
If you want
there.
to discuss the details of the salary information, overtime, please do so.
I was getting to that page. So if you'd stop interrupting me and being rude
Mr.
and out
Roberts,
of
I'm giving
order,
you the parameters in which to discuss.
so be quiet while I speak, please. Jeez. So on this page 2, as I was saying, this is budget, this is payroll, all right? I have some big concerns here. We're talking in 2000, we did in 2019 to 2022. You'd know what I was talking about more if I had a chance, but they don't want me to give a chance to explain. 2019, I have $85,000 made by one particular person at the fire department. 486 overtime hours. I'd really like to know what all this confusion about overtime hours is, because it's not, when I look through the payroll surveys and stuff comparing other fire departments in the state, there's like one that has anything somewhat close. Then you look at there's 19, 20, 21, 22, $85,839.60. Second person, $52,895.06. Third person, $67,683. The average for a fire chief is $53,000. So this overtime, it really is killing us. And I see on your line item here that you're planning to work on that, and I really hope that a better timekeeping schedule system to track hours worked and overtime that doesn't seem like a full resolution to me. And I want to make sure that we do as a council in the future, plan to keep an eye on these types of things. And the budget is important. And if we're throwing it away in overtime of 414 hours, 306 hours, it's absurd. So I hope you take this information and you can kind of understand more. Anything that's in that other packet that has a number 1 was a reference to the budget concerns in the first place by Jim Kelly, the assistant fire chief. So you have that information now, and I guess that concludes my discussion. Anyone else have any questions or anything?
I don't think this is your point in asking about further discussions. You're a city council member.
We're in a discussion. I was asking if anyone else had anything to say.
I think that's thank you, sir.
Besides you.
Mr. Meyer.
Do you understand how the overtime works at the firehouse?
I was asking someone to explain it to me.
Do you understand?
Point of order, we should not be addressing each other.
Wait. All right, this really comes up under our budget issue. We're going to be discussing budgets.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be talked about. We talked about budgets at the very beginning of the year, and we talked about overtime. I'm sorry that you missed that. We'll be going over that again when we do our budget review, and also for our new budget for 2023. So I'm sure this will all be explained at that point. Okay, any further comments? Ms. Slane.
I do have a question. What are these E's on this fire meeting attendance?
I was wondering the same, but I can't really discuss it or ask any questions.
That's their record keeping.
Nobody will answer
and I'm not-
anything.
Let's see, where are we?
It's like E and A,
These E's.
or a check mark.
Same thing, I
Or
have no
a
idea.
check mark.
Excused. E stands for excused.
Okay, so absent, but excused.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, we'll continue on to under new business. Get a motion to discuss the meeting in the auditorium.
Motion to discuss the meeting in the auditorium basement.
I'll second that.
All right. Ms. Green, or
Yep, okay.
you want to lead off?
Sure. I remember, oh boy, David Mitchell was still on the city council then. We discussed putting it in the basement, and, you know, I've watched as it's kind of progressed, but that would be a great place for us to hold our meetings, all of our meetings, all our commission meetings. I think it's great down there.
Anyone else? Mr. McClung?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's, I think it would clear this space up here. I think this is overkill. The basement is a much more manageable room. We can set up accordingly, and there's, you know, even when there's presentations by different groups to the city, whether it's, you know, in advertising and promotion or whatever, when someone comes to that, you know, where we have some citywide type meeting that, you know, that usually something of that size would take care of it, and we don't need all of this. It's just rarely that I can recall for any public gathering we've had in a meeting sense or presentation sense that has even come close to filling this basement level or the main level of the auditorium. So I think that it would be, with all the money that's been spent on that basement, we need to do something down there. And I think that our meetings would be a good start.
Mr. Roberts?
I agree with you both. This, I might have missed something early on in the CBC. I'd never even heard of that being considered, and I love that space being utilized that way. My only question at this point, though, do we have any plans for seating and how that's going to go in for, like, council meetings in particular? I know events will be set up, but,
Within your packet, there's a floor plan.
okay,
showing
it has all the information I got tonight. Okay.
There would be us.
Well, there should be in your packet.
Those are
Oh, nice.
movable seats,
And it looks great down there.
movable seats,
I'm sorry, what?
movable seats.
Probably.
They're not going to be
They're all moved.
stationary.
No, they'll be moved.
Probably
They're
like
outfitted.
those right there.
Okay, yeah.
Mr. McClung?
Are you getting any feeling from them as far as a completion time, what's left to do?
Well, right now, they basically are completed. We still need to, we're looking for somebody to refinish the floors, and we're still needing now to pick up the city's portion, which is the audio, video, speakers, and that type of
Because
stuff.
that concession area is not even close.
Beg your pardon?
Is it concession, or what is that space there?
That's
next to
for the
restaurant?
CAPC's redoing that. That's got nothing to do with the council meetings. I mean,
No, I understand it, the council meetings, but is that,
that was within, was not in the contract.
oh, that's not part of Nabholz's?
No.
Oh, that's good.
NABHOT's job is we've issued a certificate of completion for both the auditorium and the maintenance building. We still got the lift to do at the maintenance building, but as far as the auditorium done, both of them are pretty much, they are complete. We just got some punch list items to be picked up. And then, like I said, we still got the audio, video connections down there and some lighting to take care of that's not was not within NABHOT's contract.
Well, do you think another 100,000 covered?
Oh, I'm sure it would. I don't know what.
I wonder.
You know. Mr. Roberts?
If I may, since I was there for that meeting, when we were discussing that, I think we were talking about it being kind of potentially a bar area and, or, you know, service area, depending on, more of an evolution idea of, depending on what kind of event it was, but maybe even during events up here, people can go down and get a drink, watch it on a screen, so they're not missing the show and stuff too. I thought that would be, so, but I don't think that was any finalized in that, but that would be what I would hope to see there.
I think that's in the, being considered, sure.
Mr. Myers?
Well, we started out up here in the lobby, and that was pretty noisy from the street noise, and sometimes we get it up here. Yeah, it'd be a better idea to move down there. It'll be quieter and much more comfortable.
As soon as we get the audio, video down there and chairs and stuff, we'll be able to come up with a final date when council can move down there.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments on the basement?
Do we need to make a motion for that?
No. No, there's no need on this. All right, in your packet, there's also get a motion to discuss the proposed settlement in the Bill lawsuit.
I'll make a motion to discuss the proposed settlement in the Bill lawsuit.
All right.
I'll second that.
I am going to turn it over to our city attorney, since he's the one who kind of worked with this, the attorneys.
Okay. Due to the fact that Bill is a plaintiff in this case, we ask that you not speak. You understand that?
I understand.
Okay. We are offered a settlement where Bill admits that he did not properly control the construction there, and he's willing to pay a $1,000 fine to the city. The actual legal issues involved are not worth litigating. We could tie this thing up for years, and would cost us a lot of money, and there's no clear resolution. I think it is in the best interest of the city that we simply settle it. Bill will pay $1,000 to the city, and we move on and keep going. I don't think it serves anyone's best interest to order someone to tear down part of their house or change any of the remodeling they did because it violated some of the things. Yes?
Did everyone read the email that we got regarding this and get familiar with it on the council? I'm just curious.
Yes.
So if we all have, and I assume that your abbreviated version here is in concurrence with what you sent out to us.
Yes, he'll pay $1,000. He admits he's wrong. We'll bury this lawsuit and
Move forward.
We'll move forward.
I make a motion that we approve the settlement and move forward.
I want to point out, he pays his attorney, so...
Yeah, that was all
okay.
spelled out in your letter, yes.
Okay.
Okay, I got a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? Ms. Green?
Mr. Jacoby, are our laws not strong enough? Now, I'm not advocating that he had to rip it down or whatever, but are our laws not strong enough to win this in court?
There are a lot of issues that I don't have time to talk about concerning various things. It gets very complicated, and again, if we wanted to fight this for years, and he's quite capable of appealing and going on and on and on, and again, there will be no necessarily clear resolution in anyone's favor. So rather than going forward with a lawsuit that's very unclear, I think we should just resolve it and keep going.
Right. That's not my intention. I'm just don't want to see this happen again.
It's a separate issue.
Okay.
It's got nothing to do with this lawsuit at this point.
Yeah, I think we should just settle this and keep going.
Okay.
Ms. Slane?
I just kind of would like to ask if it's not inappropriate, and you can abstain, and you can tell me to hush, but do you agree with this?
He can't talk.
He can't say anything?
He can't say anything.
Okay.
Obviously, they agree this is what the settlement's
Okay,
about.
this was the...
Yeah, this is through his attorney, negotiated with me.
Okay, that's what I
I've
wanted.
flown it by the other people who may be interested in it because they are interested in it. But in cases like this, where one party is a party to a lawsuit, he cannot talk.
Yes.
You can talk to him afterwards.
Mr. Myers?
Just one question. Has the city incurred any attorney fees in this matter?
No.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Let's go ahead and have a roll call. We've got a motion. And a second.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
5-0.
And please let it be known that Mr. Ott recused himself. Yeah. All right. Thank you all very much for that. I think it's appropriate and good resolution. All right, that brings us up to our next item. Get a motion to discuss the ordinance for the annual property tax levy.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. McClung made the motion. Mr. Meyer seconded for the ordinance for the annual property tax levy. This is something that comes up every year. It really hadn't changed any from years before. So, Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that we assign this that we assign this ordinance a number and read it for its first reading.
I'll second.
Mr. McClung made the motion. Mr. Meyer seconded. Further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
The ordinance number will be 2327, an ordinance levying a tax on all real and personal property in the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Be it ordained by the City Council of Eureka Springs, Arkansas that, Section 1, levy on personal property. A tax of 4.4 mils on the dollar is hereby levied on all personal property situated within the city limits of the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, for the following purposes. 1, the general fund, 0.0038 mils. Number 2, Fireman's Pension, Relief and Pension Fund, 0.0006 mils. Section 2, levy on real property. A tax of 4.4 mils on the dollar is hereby levied on all real property situated within the corporate city limits of the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, for the following purposes. 1, general fund, 0.0038. Number 2, Fireman's Relief and Pension Fund, 0.0006 mils. Section 3, collections. The 4.4 mils above levied on personal property are to be collected at the regular collection of taxes by the collector of Carroll County, Arkansas, at the same time and in the same manner that state and county taxes are collected in the year 2023. The 4.4 mils above levied on real property are to be collected at the regular collection of taxes by the collector of Carroll County, Arkansas, at the same time and in the same manner that state and county taxes are collected in the year 2023.
Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2327 on its first reading.
Second.
Motion been made, Mr. McClung, and seconded by Mr. Myers to approve it on first reading. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and read ordinance number 2327 by title only for its second reading.
And I'll second that again.
Any further discussion? Hearing none?
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Yes.
6-0. Ordinance number 2327, an ordinance levying the tax on all personal and real property in the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2327 on its second reading.
Second.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Do we need a third, or is it? Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll pick that up next week, or next council meeting. All right, this next item is a discussion of renewing the Roject lease in Freeman Block 23 and 24. In your packet, you have a brief summary of, or a map with a note in here that we got 3 leases. Basically, we got 2 leases for 99 years, 1 lease for 50 years. And I'm not sure, I think they probably know that 50 years expired. I guess 99 years may have expired or getting close to expired. Mr. Rojek's in the audience here. What we're trying to do is get them all combined into one lease agreement. And just letting the city council see if we can get an approval or get a motion to have the city attorney draft up a lease for Mr. Rojek, between the city and the Rojek to do a utility easement lease. Yes, sir, Mr. McClung.
Is that what is on the leases? I mean, are they just...
Excuse me, do you see this letter?
Yeah, are they, is it just in the right-of-ways? Is that's what he's referring to? What's marked in red there with
That's
red
where-
lines through it?
That's where the utilities are under the ground.
Yeah,
Did you see Mr. Allen's letter?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't see the lease included.
So my question is, have you discussed any kind of fees, or is there any fees? I don't know.
Are there what? I'm sorry.
Fees for the lease? Is it
This
not
is-
applicable or not? I don't know.
I'm sure, I mean, in a way there would be. I mean, this is such an old lease. I think the original ones were minimal cost.
Or no cost?
Do we
One
still
was
own?
1910, one was 1907, and the other
Yeah,
was 1966.
Maybe I rephrase that. Do we own the right-of-ways still, or they belong to the property owner?
We own the right-of-way, that's why we're giving the lease to them.
Well, wouldn't it be better to deed those right-of-ways to them
No.
and retain the utility easement? Well, why do you say no?
There are existing utilities that are for the benefit of the city. There's a water main, there's a gas main. To let go of them on any level, this came up in another part of Freeman with a water main, and it became clear that it's better that the people just have the ability to travel over it, not own it.
Let me say this about that. And I disagree with that statement, because you deed that to the property owner, then they own it. The city retains the utility easement. They pay taxes on it. There's no longer a lease required. You've got a perpetual easement for the city, for the utilities, and it's done. It's cleaned up. It's over. 100 years from now, there won't be another bunch of people like us trying to figure this thing out. It's gone.
I'm a little bit puzzled. The city has to retain the easements for
Sure.
utilities.
That's
We have
right.
to. All we're doing is leasing the surface area for their use and purposes, so long as it does not impair with our easements.
Right.
So,
So why have a continual document that has to be at some point renewed again with a lease when all you got to do is the city deeds them the right-of-ways to the property owner, and the city retains a perpetual easement for utilities in that right-of-way, where they can't do anything above ground with it other than what they're doing now anyway. Then they own it, they pay tax on it, and it never comes up again, ever.
well, typically right-of-ways have to do with roads, and these are not roads. This is just property the city owns, we're not going to use, but we have to keep it for our easements. They wish to lease the property so they can use it for their purposes, so long as they don't disturb our easements. We have to keep the easements. in my opinion.
You would retain the easements. You'd deed them the property, retaining the utility easements across that property as they currently exist. It's done. But, it's whatever you think.
I'd rather continue the leases instead of giving away property that belongs to the city. It limits our options in the future.
Mr. Ott?
I think, you'd think you had to
Mr.
go
Ott,
first.
do you have, go ahead.
Okay. If he decides to sell this property, are these leases transferable with the sale of the property?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Green?
I'd like a motion that we have our city attorney draft up a lease agreement for all 3 easements or all 3 properties for 99 years with a nominal fee.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Myers?
Yeah, I think it has to have a fee, a nominal fee in order to be a legal contract, right?
Normally, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it can be $5.
$1 and other good and valuable consideration takes care of it.
That's sufficient many times, yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the old lease, too, with it, just to compare when you're finished. Or was this the old lease, this
Yeah,
document?
these are part of it, yes.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. This wasn't attached. Okay, I'm with you now.
Legalese, you see that?
Yes, thank you. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's,
Okay, I think, was it, Mr. Meyer, did you have a question or a statement?
Perfect, okay.
No, just that
Thank you.
we need the consideration included, $1 and other considerations or whatever, that's all.
Is the council comfortable with $1 for the lease, for a 99-year lease? All right. I think we got a motion to, I'm not sorry, who made the motion?
Melissa?
Melissa?
Drop a lease for 99 years.
Okay, and who's second? Mr. Meyer?
Mr. Ott?
Mr. Ott? All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We'll have this drafted up. All right, at our last council meeting, Mr. McClung wanted to talk about I&I feeds for irrigation meters. Get a motion to discuss.
So moved.
Second.
I'm not sure, did y'all get the email that Dwayne sent that noted that we have 141 irrigation meters, of which 51% are commercial, and that removing those would cost us approximately $7,000 a month or roughly $42,000 a year, while the residential meters would cost us approximately $20,000 a year. Of course, climate affects these numbers. The drier the year, the more water that the irrigation meters people use for irrigation. The wetter the spring and summer, the less water, of course. So, but it's approximately, would cost the city, depending on what the council wants to do, anywhere from $42,000 to $62,000 to remove the I&I fee for irrigation meters. So, any comments?
Yeah, in a moment.
Mr. Myers?
We need the money for the waterworks. For
Beg your pardon?
Infrastructure and improvement, we sure need that money.
I might see it more for the residential, but the commercial, they're going to charge, I mean, it's commercial businesses, so, but again, it's $62,000 we'd be missing.
I don't see it. How are we going to, I'm not saying not charging for the water, but just the I&I fee. How are we missing?
This is what I got from Mr. Allen.
Yeah, well,
Mr.
they
McClung.
don't, I mean, I'm not sure how he's calculated it. I'd have to see his,
I think you did talk to him, didn't you?
well, yeah, but we never discussed this. This does, if you've got 141 irrigation meters and they're paying the $10 I&I fee, that's 141, that's $1,400 a month. Right? If the 141 are paying the high dollar, $50 I&I fee, and I'm not talking about them paying the whole thing, I'm talking about just taking off the sewer part, which will be half of it.
If you want, we can defer it, and I'll find out more information.
I would appreciate if you would,
Okay.
because I'm not talking about reducing the whole fee on those irrigation meters, just the sewage part, just that one half. That's what I discussed with Dwayne.
All right, if you want to make a motion to defer it, we'll defer it.
I'd like to make a motion to defer this to the next meeting, please.
Okay, good.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved. All right, got a resolution for a public hearing to vacate an alley in Magnetic Bay, which is down off of Magnetic Street. Get a motion to discuss?
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Okay. This is a resolution setting a public hearing so we can vacate a section of an alley in the Magnetic, which is right off of Magnetic Street, Magnetic Road. I think there's a map there, if I'm not mistaken.
The whole package in the application is
So,
there.
Does anybody have any questions?
I didn't know all these streets were there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right, get a resolution, Mr. McClung.
I'd like to make a motion that we assign this a resolution, a number, and read it for passage.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none?
I have a question. Are we just giving this away, or what's happening?
Well, this is setting a public hearing.
Oh, setting the public, I got it. Okay, thank you.
We haven't decided to do anything at this point, except setting the public hearing.
Heard, thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
The resolution number will be 822, a resolution to set a public hearing date for consideration of vacating a section of alley in the Magnetic Bay Survey. Whereas the property owner of lots 9 through 11 in Block 1 of Magnetic Bay Survey have submitted a petition to the City of Eureka Springs to vacate an unopened section of alley running north and south. And whereas the signed petition was submitted to the council in regular session on August 22nd, 2022, along with a copy of the plat showing the streets, alleys, and adjoining lots. And whereas Arkansas Code ACA 14301-302C provides that the city council shall, by resolution, fix a day for the hearing of the petition filed to vacate a street or alley. And whereas the law further directs the city clerk to give notice of the meeting by publication once per week for 2 consecutive weeks in some newspaper published in Carroll County, Arkansas, and having a general circulation in the city. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that the petition to vacate the above described alley is set for hearing on, ideally, September 12th, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the auditorium of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and the city clerk shall give notice of the meeting by publication as set forth by Arkansas Code ACA 14301-302C.
Thank you very much. All right, that brings us up to our last item on the agenda. It's a resolution to waive the bidding for purchase of 2 police vehicles. Got a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Back in January, we had received bids. We were always buying our police cars through the fleet program that the state offers. They were ordered in January, and after talking with Landers out of Little Rock, they finally were advised that Dodge had shut down the fleet program and the vehicles weren't going to be built. Typical COVID situation. So we started looking at other municipal or multiple manufacturers, and nobody was offering the vehicles at fleet pricing. We finally contacted, and we went from dealerships from Omaha, Nebraska to Dallas, Texas, looking for vehicles that fit the budget. We originally had budgeted $35,000 per vehicle. Finally, we found a dealer, Corwin Dodge in Springfield, and told them, and Corwin was very familiar with Eureka Springs, and they worked out a deal that they would discount the vehicles down to $40,000 each. So this is a resolution to waive the bidding so we can purchase the two vehicles. We have not been able to find anything cheaper or in another place, so this is the best that we can do. Ms. Green, did you have a question?
I was just going to make a motion, but did you have something you want to say?
Well, this is earmarked funds, correct?
Yes.
Already, okay. Okay.
Mr. Ott?
I just had a question. What is the length of service for a police car? Is it so many miles? Is it so many years? How long do they usually
The police cars that run have a lot of, if we get 5 years out of something, we're lucky.
Okay.
Because there's just a lot of hard miles. They sit there
Oh, yeah,
idling
I
all the
understand.
time, and, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Meyer?
I saw the police chief driving one of these things today. Did he buy one?
Well, we're trying to buy it.
Okay, all right.
Get a motion? Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we assign the resolution a number and read it into passage.
Second?
Did you have a question, Mr. McClung?
I do. Is that a third vehicle, or is that one of the two that the chief is driving?
No, it's not.
No, it's not what?
It's not a third vehicle. I mean, it's probably one of these vehicles,
Okay,
yes.
okay. I'm just clarifying that.
Yeah.
And you're satisfied that the fleet that they have now is, the two are needing to be replaced?
Yeah. Yeah, this is in our standard rotation.
Well, I
vehicle
knew we'd
replacement.
allowed for one. I didn't know we'd allowed
Yeah.
two.
Every year.
Well,
This was within our capital budget that we had, that we passed in January. We just couldn't find the vehicles in January.
And how much did we have allocated? Did we have
35,000.
35 instead, but we're asking for 80.
Asking for 40 each this time. Instead of 70, we're going to 80.
So we had 35 each.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ms. Lane?
which line item does that come out of?
I'm sorry, what?
Which line item does that come out of their budget?
I'm not sure. It's probably a capital. Michael?
I just don't see anything that's high enough to even have that.
We had already allocated it, I know, we're just going to have to adjust it.
We actually
Sorry, Michael, thank
allocated,
you.
we actually allocated a little over 100,000 for their vehicles and for the equipment. You'll find it under, it's under 5800 is the account under general fund capital expenditures police. The annual budget was 106,603. He has spent about 15,000 of that on some other equipment and everything. So he has about 11,000 in other equipment that he's buying. So he has approximately 80,000 left. So it is in the budget and it was approved.
Okay.
Yep. Welcome.
Any further discussion? I've got a motion and a second.
Let's do roll call, okay?
Beg your pardon?
Let's do roll call, please.
Okay. Have a roll call?
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mr. McClung?
Yes?
Mr. Roberts?
Yes?
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
6-0. Resolution number will be 823. Resolution to waive bidding to purchase 2 police vehicles. Whereas the Eureka Springs Police Department is in need of 2 vehicles, and whereas the police vehicles are in demand and are hard to acquire, and whereas Corwin Dodge in Springfield, Missouri has 2 Durangos available at a discounted price of $40,000 each. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that, Section 1, the City Council does waive any bidding and authorizes the purchase of 2 police vehicles from Corwin Dodge for the price of $40,000 each.
All right, thank you all. All right, that brings us up to agenda setting. Ms. Green?
Could we put a discussion of the quality of the yellow bags?
I'm sorry, what?
Could we put a discussion on the quality that we're getting on the yellow garbage bags? You know what I'm talking about.
I know what I'm talking about, yeah. I know.
I think we all
The
do.
quality of the yellow garbage bags, or trash bags, sounds better.
Okay. All right, anybody else?
You want to change color?
I'd
That she
like
wants them
pink.
better. I don't know if we
I-
can get
I
them
want-
any better, but,
I'd like pink.
all right. City council comments. Mr. McClung?
Don't have any.
Mr. Meyer?
Nope, nothing.
Ms. Slane?
Somebody once told me that we're held to a higher standard than most of our citizens at this table. And I just truly hope with everything going on in our other commissions that we're all held accountable. And I hope that something is done. Thank you.
Ms. Green?
I agree with Ms. Slane. We are, even if we are in a commission, we are held to a higher standards. And this federal viciousness that I'm seeing all over the place needs to stop. I mean, we don't have to be nasty to one another. We can start being a little more civil. I know things are changing, and I know they can be really good changes, but they're not going to be good changes with this viciousness going on. All it does is it just draws lines. It makes people angry. And I get screenshotted a lot of stuff on our lovely Facebook, which now has become our Geek Fest. And I'm just amazed at the viciousness. I'm amazed at somebody was on there calling me a gossip, which I have admitted to, and yet they're ripping people apart. And I'm thinking, I gossip to one person in private, and you're gossiping to 200 people. You know, really look at it, because a lot of these people, what you're saying to them, they're not on this page. So you're ripping apart someone who can't defend themselves. And so some of this needs to stop, and we need a little bit of nice decorum, because we live in one of the most beautiful places on the earth, and we should really try to be beautiful to one another.
Ms. Roberts?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Ott?
Hopefully I speak for everybody here at the table that took the tour downstairs. I think the work that's been done down there is exemplary. I think it's going to be another gem in our crown here in Eureka Springs for use for both civic opportunities and also to be used in our tourism, bag of tricks that we can sell people to come to have trade shows or citywide conferences and that kind of stuff. And I look forward to the public someday in the not too distant future to be able to see that space. And I think we've done good. You know, we try to do things with some of the historic buildings to bring them back and to make them utility worth. And I think that one has a good utilization with us moving down there and other meeting places. That way, everybody, all the different commissions and stuff, have a home now once that thing gets set up. So I applaud those who had the vision to turn that around and to those who are actually turning it around. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. I guess I want to segue a little bit onto that. I think Nabhotes have done a great job with the downstairs, and I think the city council from several years back, I thank them for going ahead and following through with this project. I know this is something, at one time, there was a council member who called it auditorium an albatross of the city. And I think now we've got something that's more of the gym, once again, that we always like it. I think it's going to be a great place for council meetings and for other commission meetings and other activities. It's going to open up things, a lot of vision that I think a lot of us had seen and would like to see going on through there. So I want to thank the CAPC for being able to help us follow through with that. We've got a lot of activity coming up. A lot of people have been in town. We've got a lot coming up this next week. We've got the Volkswagen Festival and the Volkswagen Parade is coming back at 3 o'clock on the 27th. For somebody who said, again, I heard somewhere, I think it may be Facebook or something, we're not having any car parades. Well, we've got two of them. We've got the Volkswagen Parade, and then we got the Antique Auto Parade coming back. And that's going to be on the 10th of September. So that's going to be exciting. But on August 27th, from 5 to 7, we'll have the Cattle Punchers playing in the Basin Park. I'm not familiar with them, but it sounds like it'd be a great show. It's in there. I know most of the music been in there has been good. We've also got the coming back into Eureka once again, the All Fret Banjo Conference. They'll be playing down in the Basin Park on the 31st and the 1st of September, all afternoon. So anybody out there, come on down and listen to some great banjo picking. Drumming in the Park, September the 9th from 6 to 8. And the Kate Brothers have been rescheduled for September the 9th from 5 to 7. And then the Witches Escape, welcome back to Eureka Springs. They'll be in the Basin Park all day on the 10th of September. And this is a fundraiser for the Historical Museum. So, go out and give the witches and the warlocks thanks when you see them. And other than that, I'll take a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll move.
Second. I think there was a second. Anyway, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you all.